All right, good evening to our beautiful Liberia. Good evening to our brothers and sisters in the motherland. We say welcome again to Liberia Shall Rise. I am your host, Augustin Sharif. I'm here with my good friend and brother, Mr. Emmanuel Sapalusia. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm wonderful. I thank God. This hour jumping ahead and all this crazy thing they keep doing here. Human man-made creation of time change is getting us confused. Yeah, and so we get up early and we have already lost an hour. But yeah, other than that, life is good.
All right, man. Basically, those in Monrovia, Liberia, or Liberia as a whole, they're not limited to Monrovia. And those in Liberia, we say welcome to the broadcast. And those also in the great United States of America and Europe, other parts of the world, welcome to the live broadcast of Liberia Shall Rise. On this segment, though, this is the second Sunday of the month, and usually this is what we actually call, table talk. So it's a table talk edition here on Liberia Shall Rise. And today, though, we are going to be looking at some sort of justice form. We are going to be looking at an incident that took place between Liberian in diaspora versus a national of the country where they are residing. And we are just going to see, we're going to try to add our voices to some of the issues that are taking place. But what we'd like to say to you, look, go ahead and share the broadcast. Go ahead and invite someone, share it on your platform. Sapalucia and myself will be getting into this here. I think maybe Dr. George is going to be joining us shortly, or Stephen Keller is going to be joining us as well. But until then, though, let me just go ahead and just play a song. And once that song is done, we will come back here and we will get right to the issue.
Shall long be out, though new name, great be her fame, and mighty be her power.
All here, Liberia indeed, and welcome back to the broadcast. This is Augustin Sharif. I'm here with Mr. Emmanuel Sapalusia. Let us get to the meat of the story. Before we go into all of the mob justice that we want to talk about, all of the different things that have been unfolding, we have to start with our top story. And the top story, Mr. Sapalusia, I'm referring to on February 27th of 2026. There was an incident that took place in Ghana, where Mr. Austin Temwe, a 26-year-old Liberian, he was fatally attacked, and that attack led to his demise, it led to his death. And why, we may not have as much details yet because investigation is still ongoing, but we do know that at least 3 individuals were arrested. But before going to the arrest and before going to all of these different things that have been taking place, what was just your take on the whole issue when you heard that this was happening, um, about the attack itself, and that a Liberian or someone was killed? Let's forget the Liberian thing, but someone was killed with I mean during that attack. What was your whole take on the subject matter as a whole?
Well, and I don't want to come up as not being biased because I am. I will be. I gotta be truthful to myself
Sure.
because when it happened, the first thing was a Liberian got killed in Ghana. That's the headline that I saw, or that's the video. That's the video I saw on Facebook, on social media. That's the first thing I saw. The first thing that clicked was the previous ones that have happened.
Okay.
From Bujumbura Camp to the attack where they burned Liberian houses in Ghana to the one that happened in Accra and other different towns or cities that have been happening over the years since I think 2006, especially the one that happened in 2011. I think 2011 was the one that stood out more when I think depending on who you listen to, there were one where they said 5 people were killed, so the pregnant woman was killed, and we don't get any accurate number because nobody's giving us an objective report. It's just based on what we're seeing right now. Because I think, in my opinion, we don't know how many of those things are happening in the background, but this one became a highlight because it was first revealed on social media because everybody got cell phone nowadays. Anything happening, it popped up on social media. So when I heard that or when I saw that, that's the first thing I clicked. The previous ones that have happened,
Okay.
yes.
And so basically you were using that as a measure stick, let's say a measuring stick, to say, look, these things happened before and nothing became of them. So what would become of this one now?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So let's get to the point. Okay. And basically, I was not even going to touch the subject matter. It's not because I was trying to be insensitive to the subject matter. And it has no, I mean, it has nothing to do with whether my bias is or not being biased. Because one way or the other, I will advocate for a Liberian. One way or the other, I will speak for a Liberian, and so we'll move in that direction. But that was not the reason why I did not want to touch it. The reason
Yeah,
I didn't.
and sorry, before you go for when I say
Yeah,
bias, I'm not saying that that's my intention, but
sure.
because I'm a Liberian, if I'm saying those things, I'm
Mhm.
sure there are segment of the audience that will say, okay, this man is biased because he's a Liberian, but that is
Sure.
not really my intention, right? It doesn't matter who is killed, whether it's an individual from Liberia, or even if it was the rule was reversed, where it's a Liberian in Ghana and killing a Ghanaian in that era or in that segment, I will
Mhm.
have the same reaction. But I'm just saying, when that video came out, that's the first thing that clicked in my mind, of what happened. And it even went beyond that to all the way to the 80s as well. So there are many things that trickle over there too.
Okay. And so basically, I think one of the things, the reason I decided that, look, I want to touch this particular subject matter and add my voice to it was because of all the different social media videos I have been seeing, right? And the videos I have been seeing is not a video that showed the mob attack in any shape or form. But the videos I have been seeing are individual Ghanaians or individual Liberians who are speaking to the subject matter. And I saw some that actually stood out. There was some that were, Ghanaians were saying, look, we dare any Liberians to dare go ahead and decide that they're going to retaliate or that they're going to come and do something to a Liberian, a Ghanaian, because of what happened in Ghana. We dare you to do it. We will pack all of you Liberians and send you back. I mean, there was one that was just so disturbing, and I don't know where this lady's anger came from. I did not want to play it on our broadcast here because that would be validating what she is saying. But I don't know where her anger came from. But her anger was so that, I mean, she went as far back as to the Civil War. She said, you Liberians, you don't even have a country. You don't know how to take care of country. You don't have a leadership. And she just started digging into Liberians. And you want to come to tell us how to investigate, how to do this, how to judge our people when you have no rule of law in your country and da 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 da. And she was just tearing into Liberians. And she said, you watch, if anything happened to any Ghanaians as a result of this particular thing, you guys will regret it big time. And so, based on those videos I have been seeing, I said, look, man, it's better for us to look at this and just add our voices to it, because I don't think it is necessary for us to go, especially in an instance where authorities are actually investigating the situation and they are looking into it. They are not just saying, "Oh, it's a Liberian guy, so don't worry about it." But at least from what I've heard, they are investigating it. But I think social media is adding additional layer and inflaming the situation. And I don't think it was right in the way they are actually framing this whole situation. And that is why I wanted to talk about it. I don't know if you've seen those videos.
Well, I've seen some of those videos, but that lady utterance is she's not the only one. There are a few others, and I think it's because it will go back to where we are as a continent, right? When we saw what was happening in South Africa, when we saw what was happening in other African countries with other Africans treating one another, right? The way we have treated one another.
Mhm.
This artificial border that was given to us, not by ourselves, but outsider. I mean, because these things are not happening in the absence of those things. Okay, so I know people say, "Oh, but colonialism has been over a long time ago." Well,
Mhm.
it is not really accurate. It's not really accurate to say that it's not still does not have influence, because the lady that was speaking, she was speaking in English. She was not speaking in Tree. She was not speaking in Ghana or in Fanti or Shanti. She was speaking in English. Why? A
Mhm.
colonial language that was introduced to her. That's the reason. And again, unfortunately, in my opinion, she have not really read her history. Because if she had read her history to know Liberia's contribution to Ghanaians' independence, then she won't make those statements. So again, and this is where we as African and as Liberians, we have to start re-educating ourselves. Why are we doing the things we're doing? Why we say things we say and how we say them? What context, right? Because it matters. Context matter. Yes, it may be in the span of the moment that you're saying these things, but we need to also reflect on why we're saying these things and how we're reacting to these things. Now, this is a lot of things in there about this situation that we don't know about, because there was a lady who some people claim from the social media
Mhm.
that said she was sexually harassed, but there are CCTV videos that shows that sexual harassment, there was a distance between the two of them when during the CCTV conversation that I watched, the CCTV that I watched, right?
Mhm.
So whether it was done verbally, it could be, I don't know, because I was not there, but there's a lot of unknowns. But overall, though, if we look at the reaction, whether it's from Liberians or the Ghanaians, it's all based on what we have been introduced to, that we as a people should not unite. And that's what, in my opinion, outsider wants us to continue to do. Here we are. I know we talk about, and I like to take it out there because there where we're heading. 2063, we're supposed to be having one currency in Africa, but we can't even sit to discuss issues based on what's happening. That one person does something wrong, we can't say, "Look, what you did was wrong." We all cannot come in one agreement and condemn that individual action, but we start to address it from nationalistic view. And when we
Mhm.
start to do that, then we lose track of what we're trying to accomplish.
So I like the big picture you're drawing. I think that's exactly what Liberia Shiraz is all about. Not only do we just come and be talking heads and run our mouths, but you have to look at the big picture. And then again, there's some historical context. And I'm proud of you. You being a scientist, going into history, I'm proud of you. Because when we were telling you a long time ago to be a historian, you well, no, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. Some of the things that you're digging up. This is great for our talking points today. Because here is where I wanted to go. You and myself remember the Civil War. We still remember where we were in 1989, December 24, when the first shot was fired. At least I still remember.
Mhm. I
And
do.
you know, and so we remember, and basically when the things started coming into it getting close to Bond County, it gone through Nimba, Bond County, we're getting to Grand Bassa, and you and I remember it started in the whole thing of tribalism. The Geo people and the Crown people and all these different things. A tribal group. So it did not matter if there was a guild man fighting another guild man, they formed that clique and they just became one. And if the Crown man did not like Doe, they formed that group, they became one. So tribalism and the thing just spread out. Before you know, we have Allergic Roman and the Mandingo people. All of these tribalistic groups started coming in. Again, because we could not unify. I say this, I police have to say this. Ghana, Liberia. When you talk about a nationalistic view, that's exactly what happened to this case. That's exactly what's going to determine the outcome of this case. If those who are investigating are not careful to take away or remove the public sentiment. Because right now, all the Ghanaians have gone in a little corner. I don't want to say all, but most of them, they have gone in a little corner, at least the one that I see on Facebook talking about this issue. They have grouped together and they have come in the defense of the Ghanaian national. And all the Liberians I have seen, they have grouped themselves and they are now speaking that we want justice. They are crying for justice to be served. And so that viewpoint have actually made it impossible for us to dialogue. And if any Liberian is actually listening to this, we have to remember what this divisiveness did to us when the Civil War came. You know, myself, brother, as I speak to you, I kid you not, because of that last name you see on that screen, because of that name, Sharif, I almost got killed in April 6th war because they say I was Mandingo. I'm telling you. So we know what tribalism does. And so when we start grouping ourselves and don't see the picture, then of course it mess up, it makes everything murky. And when it gets murky, we only take side with our groups, with our tribes, and we don't care for the other tribe. And it will cause us to commit atrocities because most of the Ghanaians that are speaking on social media, that are putting some of these challenges out, saying daring statements, they would not be making that statement if it was a Ghanaian that killed a Ghanaian. They would not be making that statement. But you know, because it is the other way around, so now they have to look at it as a national issue. And it should not be. We should still be able to sit and dialogue and go to the table and just understand, do the investigation to see what really happened. Because the stories you hearing, I'm also hearing a conflicting story. You know, the story I heard was, well, I mean, this guy just came, he came to do some kind of repair, and he was standing outside, and this pregnant woman that was a distance from him, he and this pregnant lady, they exchanged some words, and before you know it, there was this, the pregnant woman took offense to something he said. What was that something? What was that something? We don't know. That's what the investigators have to look into. But if we don't give them a chance and we just take our side, my brother, we murky the entire investigation.
Yes, but Sherry, let us also not forget, and I think this is just my opinion. I don't know what's going on behind the scene, but if you even follow the investigation, some of the things are coming out. Because most of the things we find out on social media, by the way, there has still not been an invitation so far that I know of, because I've been researching almost all morning to find some kind of information, whether it's in the Ghanaian information. I know I heard from the Ghanaian embassy that they say they're going to take some justice, whatever they're going to take, some justice action, whatever they're going to take. They arrested the fourth guy, by the way, and it's one Mensa. They arrested the fourth guy. So, yeah, but there is not really by this time, because they know where the thing happened, right? It happened at a complex. The security guy that was present at that complex was arrested. But what's about the lady that was there? She was not anywhere. She was there. She's not among the other people. The other three guys were people who were bystanders who saw it and they went and joined. So I can understand it's taking time to get those people. However, those that were on the scene, those are people that should be easy to get and easy to get information from, especially the pregnant woman who was allegedly sexually harassed.
And these are the hanging fruits.
Exactly. So, and with these situations, and again, I will still go back to the past, because for me, I believe in historical facts. Okay, that's how like you say, I'm a scientist, so I don't base my stuff on historical theory. No, I like the facts of the history, because if you look at what have happened in Bujumbura camp, like I mentioned earlier, the few incidences that took place, the mob justices that took place in Liberia, in Ghana on Liberians, there were no outcome. The police did arrest, but what happened after? Police does the arrest, but what did they do? Did they turn this case over to the court? And I was watching one of the, I think it was a Ghanaian guy who was doing some analysis of this situation. He said there has been a pattern not only to Liberians but also to Nigerians, and you're giving instances where yes, the police will arrest, but the police will keep that person in detention for a few days and they release it and never turn them over to the court. Now, his point was, he said, if, according to him, if anybody is caught by the police or detained by the police and turned over to the court, there's a high chance that that court will find that person guilty. According to him, the justice system, when it comes to the court system, it do work at least 90% of the time. However, when it comes to foreigner being killed or something harm, the police is the one, in his view, are always reluctant to turn those cases over to the court. And maybe, and just based on his own assessment, because he's a Ghanaian, I'm not from Ghana, but he's a Ghanaian who put a YouTube video out there. So based on his assessment, can make me to easily conclude, based on our past history when it comes to the Bujumbura attack, the burning of the Liberian houses, and the confiscation of Liberian properties from them. They said they were on town. You remember when the town chief, I think it was the town chief or the whoever in our community said this was the property, the Liberian needed to go, and they took their property. Some of them were broken down, people got hurt, even people got killed. Those situations, we did not get any result, whether the person were, those that were involved were judged by the court, nothing. It just escalated. They said Liberian government will get involved, blah, 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 and that was it. So based on those things, I think some of the Ghanaians who are making those other negative or who are reacting negatively, instead of holding that person accountable, but they are defending their nationalistic view or holding on to the nationalistic view, maybe emboldened, and this is just my opinion, maybe emboldened by the inaction of the police or the law enforcement system that may lead to their views and thinking that they are above authority, especially when it comes to different nationality in their country that being victimized by mob justice.
And basically, this is where I want to kind of come in. Look, I know we will talk, but for me, I always look. I'm with you. I always want to look at the facts that we're presenting. I don't want to inflame the situation. We want to talk logically and be able to. This could have happened to a Ghanaian living in Liberia, and it may have happened. This can happen to a Nigerian living in Liberia. It may have happened. I watched a video. It was sometime December last year where a Ghanaian national who lived very close to the ERBC area there before you get to the Duporo place, where this guy, his house was broken into by, I think, 4 or 5 guys. And that's just armed robbery. They broke into his house because he was a businessman. They nearly killed him. They took all the money he had. And that man, he was blessed to run away with his life. So this could happen anywhere. But what actually makes this very agitating, very irritating is the fact that this young man was not caught in doing anything illegal.
No.
He had gone to this particular home invited, and he was there to do a specific job based on the information we have. He was there to do a specific job. Now, whatever that lady said to him or whatever he said to that lady, whether it was, oh, you are a beautiful woman or whatever it is, that may have been the sexual harassment portion of that or the inflammation. I guess my question here is, Sapolucia, when you and myself go to Liberia, look, I keep bringing Liberia into this because our broadcast, we speak for Liberia. I keep bringing Liberia into it. You and myself were in Liberia together in 2023, 24? Was 24? 24. We're in Liberia together. We went there for the school dedication. And we were there and we were even making fun of the situation in Liberia. Not the political situation or the economic situation, but the people. It was just funny to us because it just seemed as though you would see people and they just look so angry. People are just so angry. You try to say hello to them. Sometimes they just ignore you and walk past you. And I'm saying to myself, man, I mean, this is such a funny thing. Last year when I was in Liberia, and I've said this story many times, I was going to this entertainment center and this gentleman was sitting in front. I mean, he was sitting at the entrance, just sitting there, just, in front of the shop. And me being someone who respect my fellow man, who respect other people, I was not just going to say, oh, excuse me, and I walk past him. So I saw him, I said, oh, my brother, how you doing? And I extended my hand for him to shake my hand. That guy looked at my hand as if I had leprosy. He did not even touch it. And so I just kept insisting, and then finally he reluctantly extended his hand. So I said, "How you doing?" He didn't answer me, and I walked and I went in the shop and I got what I wanted to get out of the place. But I'm saying all of these examples to say people are just so angry in Liberia. People are frustrated, and it stems from the economic situation. It stems from a lot of different things, and we get it. So I'm giving this premise to come to you about the Ghanaian situation. That lady, we don't know, but let's try to sense. Ghanaians for the past 2 or 3 years now, since the whole Bujumbura incident, they have been asking Liberians to leave their country, leave. I mean, and Liberians have been just like the same way immigration have. Maybe it's not the same thing, but the same way immigration is a hot topic subject here, it's the same way it's a hot topic subject in Ghana towards Liberians.
Mhm.
They are not saying the war is over. You need to go back to your country.
Mhm.
But sadly enough, most of the people that they are saying go back to your country, most of those people don't even know Liberia because they were born there.
Yes, exactly.
They were born there.
Yeah.
You bring them to Monrovia, they have no idea where's Monrovia. They consider themselves Ghanaian citizen. And so because they have Liberian parents and you are targeting them, so could this be one of those instances that a particular woman, she just, another Liberian, and just look at him and then boom, she messed stuff up. We don't know, but let's try to get into that situation, for example.
No. And I totally understand that, because that's one of the questions I've been asking too. If he was a Ghanaian speaking the language, if he has spoken tree to this woman, would the end result be the same? But let us take the lady out of the picture. Let's take the security guard. Based on what we know from the various social media platforms, this lady was a stranger to this young man. Based on what we heard, what I've heard, all the video I watched, everybody keeps saying he may not have known her. So that is the unknown, right?
Yeah.
That is the unknown. But
Yeah.
this is what we know. Almost in the same social media posts that we have seen, almost everybody says that the security guard knew this brother because he'd been there more than once, twice, and so forth. So he knew him from all the social media posts that I have read and have come across. The security guard knew him. Now, let's say the woman says something to him, and he's acting on the woman's account. If I don't know what he saw the woman and he saw bruise mark on her or whatever, but for all indication there was nothing that he touched her or anything. Why would somebody just tell you something about somebody? The first thing you think to do is to pick up a cutlass or a machete. That's according to all the social media we had to do. That's the first thing he did. He went for it and started running after this guy. And well, they said they wrestled a little bit, and then the man escaped, right? And then he didn't stop there. And in most African countries nowadays, it all used to be back in the days in Liberia until the Nigerians came to Liberia and they started telling us, when you see thief, you put tire on them and burn them. We didn't have that before. Yes, when you caught a road, you took them to the police station during our day when we were growing up. But when they walk in, it brought different culture in, and we have started practicing that. Now, in Ghana, in fact, I even listened to a few Ghanaians posts who said this is not known for Ghana. This is more known for Nigeria, where you got mob justice. Some of the video that I have watched. So they're thinking, why did these people just hear the word thief and they're coming up to beat somebody to death?
And now it was not validated though. I mean, it was an assumption that this brother was a thief.
Yeah.
So
And then I started thinking, okay, the points you made about the 2006, the head, everything is over, you guys go back home. Could this security guy be annoyed? Because and I watched other video where he was helping train Ghanaian females. Most of the women that are, in fact, most of the people that I saw speaking on behalf from Ghana or Ghanaians, they were mostly females. Okay, most of them, they were females that were speaking. What's his name? I forget. I know the land is Temple, but your first name, God, I'll call him by your first name.
Austin.
Jesse? Austin. They were saying, Austin is a kind guy. He helped to train us. So could that be something? And we saw this before. We have seen it we saw it during the refugee time in Ivory Coast. Liberians were attacked because of the men, they led bluffing and whatever you want to call it. It happened even in Ghana when the Liberians were refugees there at the time they were holding refugee status. They used to be attacked because the Ghanaians felt that they were flamboyant.
they present themselves well,
Yeah, they
and
presented themselves well. So it
yeah,
happened in Ghana, it happened in Sierra, I mean, in Guinea, it happened in Ivory Coast. Those are the three places that I know it already happened that Liberians were targeted because of the way they presented themselves. So, because I'm asking myself so many questions, could there be one of those situations where this guy envy this guy because he keeps seeing coming, or he's a young guy, maybe he's attracted by the Ghanaians women are attracted to him, and he's holding himself better, and he just a security guard. Why am I standing at the gate? And this guy is coming here all the time. Everybody, he got all this attention. Could it be just one of those things in the heat of the moment and he overreacted? So there are so many unknowns that we need to, because I don't know the motive.
mhm.
But based on some of those speculations that we're hearing, I think it could come from any of those angles, where whether it's go back home, you don't belong here, and or it is why are women behind these guys, and all these different things, right?
Yeah.
But again, it comes back to my initial statement. These artificial borders that were given to us, the artificial papers that were given to us, calling us, you need visa to come to Ghana, you need visa to go to Liberia. These things still create problems. Until we can get rid of those things, Sharif, we will continue to face these problems. If we're using the same currency, you will not be telling me you don't have a government that is stable. If we're using the same economic value, we have the same economic value, we have the same economic policies, we're not going to be saying those things. Some of those things will be going away with. But as long as we have these artificial lines that were given to us, we're still going to have the mentality that we are not Africans. We are Ghanaian first before Africa. It's supposed to be the other way around. Africa first, then before Ghanaian and Liberia.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. And so basically, I know you also preface one of your statements by saying, look, these things have happened before, where Liberians have been marginalized and brutalized especially in Ghana, and nothing became of it. And whether it was demolition to their properties, whether it was the forced destruction of their structures that they built, whether people were standing up for their structures and those people got killed in the process, nothing became of it. At least not that we know of. But what we do know in this particular incident, we can now say that the U.S., I mean, the Liberian embassy in Ghana, in Accra, and the embassy in Accra, the Ghanaian consulate, they have been speaking. They have been speaking, and they have been engaged, and they are trying to find some sort of solution, like what really happened. And when I say solution, I'm trying to say they have been going deep into the investigative process. And I have to salute that process. I have to say, look, I am grateful that this is actually taking place, and the fact that the Ghanaian authorities have reached out to Austin's family, just to kind of let them know exactly what's happening, where the investigation is, and they are giving an update on a regular basis. I think that's a good sign. It is a good sign, in my opinion, to say, look, someone is doing something about it. So all the inflammatory Facebook posts and all these different things that we see on social media, I don't think those things should actually persist. It should not continue, because if it continues, it just detracts from the good work that is taking place in the back. And I am waiting to see, though. I'm waiting to see. I know, again, you have said it based on the report you saw from the other brother. I wish I knew his name, who actually posted that, sometimes for people get arrested when foreigners are harmed and nothing come out of it. We are going to be watching. We are going to be following. And this is now where leadership actually comes into place. This is where leadership comes into place, because the Liberian embassy now should be following this case to make sure that diplomatic ties are not broken because of this situation, but justice is achieved. And so that is where I am still looking, Sabalusia, as we go through this story.
No, and I would expect that. However, though, let's put Ghana aside now. The Ghanaians have done, hopefully, their part to start investigation and hopefully turn this world to the justice system. Mm-hmm. However, history have also shown us that Liberian government don't care for their citizens. That is a fact. Every situation that Liberians have gone through, I mean, they do this symbolic thing, they just speak up, but we see no actions. We saw that in Ukraine, we saw that in Morocco, We saw Liberian stranded when the Air Morocco got stranded. Liberian was sitting in Morocco for a long time. Government only talk. These are ongoing things that we have seen our Liberian government that have not put foot or put down measures to stop the suffering of their people abroad. Today, we still talk about students in India. Just in recent time, in India, still trying crying for help. Why the government send them there to study? We have group in Morocco recently too for the same thing. So it's in China. The same thing is happening there too, with Liberian students are asking for help and they are stranded. The Liberian government is not helping them. So the Liberian government themselves, they got to show to us that they are serious. And let me make this point before I forget. You know, all of these things that are happening. If we go back to 1986, I was little at the time. I think 86 or 87. Gerald Rawlings sent Liberia. He put them on a boat, and he sent them to Liberia. People who were born in Ghana and live in Ghana. He did that, I think, 1986 or 1987. He sent those Liberians back. Don't wanted to take action, but people talked to him, and he did not. All the things that happened throughout the war, whether it's the 2000 Liberians dying in Ghana and all that stuff. One thing I know that have remained constant: Ghanaians in Liberia have not received retribution from any Liberians, because Liberians have been loving people to outsiders than their own people, and I don't want that to change. We don't want that to change, especially for we Africans. We should not be ill-treating one another because of isolated incidences, and this is what I think we all should treat it as, right? But the Liberian government needs to step up and start holding other people accountable for their citizens. That's the only way people will respect your citizen. If this go on to resolve, where we talk about it for a few days and then it just go on and nobody knows whether these guys that were arrested, whether they turn with the justice system, they went through the judicial process, found guilty or not guilty, then the same thing will happen again. Because then nobody will take Liberians to be valuable as it is. And why we on this forum, why we on this medium, let me let Africans know there is no freedom, no independence in Africa besides Ethiopia that Liberia was not part of. None. Liberians have been on the front line to make sure, and everybody can read your history. You can go and read. The Kwame Nkrumah, they all came to Liberia for help. The Nelson Mandela, he stopped in Liberia. Most of these guys from East Africa, they all came to Liberia, and Liberia was there for them. So people should not think that Liberia is irrelevant now that she went through 14 years of war. No, Liberia is still relevant. Liberia fought for that continent to be where it is. Yes, it may not have gone to the direction that we should be today because of other missteps, but Liberia have been at the center of Africa's independence and will remain because historical facts are there to back it up.
Man, I appreciate that. So, and I want to just go by because I really want to. Time is kind of flying away from us here, but I think this was the meat of our discussion today. I think our intent here is not to come here to inflame the subject matter, but to give some sensibility to it. That everybody who is posting stuff on social media, look, stop that noise. You know, I like the point that you made that when you said Liberians have been very loyal and loving to other nationals. You know, we understand, and that is still true. Ghanaians in Liberia, they enjoyed. Nigerians in, man, I was in LU, I had a Ghanaian professor. Okay, there are people who, I mean, we respect those people. Two of my good friends from middle school, from elementary school, all the way to middle school before the war came. We all went from this elementary school all the way to Basel High School before the war came. And Sami and Kofi, I still remember them up to today. They were good friends. That mom used to make this fritter, this color that when we used to call Mami Pole Pepe. That's the thing that mom used to make. And that lady, she considered herself Liberians. I remember that our families are so close that they would come to our house. And I used to call her auntie. And basically, she even told me, she said, look, the freedom I have in Liberia, I'm considering myself Liberian. And so basically, we've always loved our people, and that is not going to change. No retribution will be taken against Liberians. Are not going to be jumping on the street looking for Ghanaians to humiliate. No, that's not going to happen. And that should not be the case happening somewhere else. But one of the things that it actually bring us to, that actually make us to want to title our show the way we title it today, is the simple fact that mob justice, right? Mob justice. Yeah, I'm going to preface this by starting from Monrovia. From Monrovia. Last year, I want to say maybe it was October or November, there was a young man that was killed, and several of them were killed. But I would just highlight this one, the 72nd Junction, where they say he took somebody's purse, and by the time somebody screamed "rogue," people came and they started stoning this young man to death. And we saw the videos on social media. They stoned this guy to death. Nobody was asking questions. People were just walking by as if this was a normal snake you're trying to kill. If I saw you dropping a rock on a snake, I'll be like, yeah, man, kill that snake. However, this was a human. People were just throwing stuff on this young kid. I think it was a motorcycle or a purse incident. And we got to know that that kid passed away. What became of the subject? What became of that particular case? Nothing that I know of. And so that mob justice mentality, it just happened. Oh, the man that rode, the man was doing stuff, the man's a thief, and blah, blah, blah. And so, boom, people can just do that. And that scares me, Sapalucia, because the reason it scares me, you and myself, when we visit, what if somebody target us? When we visit the country, somebody target us and just say, oh, Roy, if we are in the wrong place at the wrong time, and somebody just come running on us and doing stuff like this, what voice do we have to defend ourselves? This is what happened to Austin in Ghana. This is the downfall of Austin. This man started to beat up, security man started to beat up this young man. He doesn't know the story. All he knows, he hear that this man could be a possible thief. And he could not justify that because he've known this guy before. But again, whatever the hatred was, whatever that malice was, whatever his motivation was, that motivation led to other people jumping in. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that really baffled me among the people that they have arrested, look, we are not talking about 20-something-year-old kids that were arrested. So we'll say, oh, these young people, they don't know what they're doing. They just roll, and we're not talking about 15, 16-year-old kids beating somebody, trying to show their manhood. We got people ranging from 34 all the way to the mid-40s. Mm-hmm. These are men that have children. The 44-year-old man could be the father of Austin. Mm-hmm. You see? And so these are people who actually should know better. And these are people who chose to turn the other way simply because they knew that this one was a foreign national. And that is the pity. To me, that is the pity of the whole situation. And somebody losing their life over just what was perceived or what was said to have been said. To me, it was just one of the saddest part of the whole story.
So you see, especially when you look at a Liberian situation, mm-hmm. when we talk about those guys, and I think we'll talk about it a few times on our show when it comes to this mob justice, where you're killing a guy for cell phone or for $10, whereas you got a guy who's stealing millions of dollars from you, causing you to. And I'm not saying go after them, go stone them or whatever, but it just doesn't make sense to me that I will be running after a guy who stole a cell phone that will have impact. And I'm not saying I'm not bagging it in any way, sure. But it only affect one single person who loses. You're not even taking their whole daily life. And then there's another guy who is stealing hundreds of thousands of dollars that causes you not to have hospital, clinics, road, and all this other stuff. And then you clap for those people, right? And guess what? They are the one that instigate these things. Because they themselves, who are the government officials and leaders of the country, they are the one they are not taking action when these things happen. In fact, they back some of them. So I have seen videos where government officials, some of them standing there and they're killing another Liberian, and the island, nothing is happening. So their supporter think it's a good thing. So there is nothing coming from the top to stop this thing besides muff talk. We're gonna all they do. Oh yeah, that guy that was killed is bad, but what action are you taking? You're not holding the police director accountable. You're not questioning, you're not calling him to the House of Representatives to say, hey, this guy died from a district. What have you done about it? Nothing. Again, I will bring it back to the House of Representatives. Why are these people even in the offices? When somebody died in your constituent from mob justice, You do nothing about it. And like you rightly said, just us sitting on this platform make us a target. You may not think about it. We could go to Liberia, we'll be walking the street, somebody who maybe, and it's good that we always discuss our issue objectively and not targeting an individual. And I hope that makes sense to a lot of people. But you could go back home, somebody who don't take your word the way it is, and go spot one of those people and say, hey, just attack that person.
Oh yeah.
Mr. Sheriff, it don't have to be, it don't have to be in a corner. It can be anywhere. But people are not going to stand up and think and say, okay, this is somebody's father, this is somebody's son. That's the thing that is gone from our community, humanity. Our humanity have been taken away, in my opinion, by the elites in the country, because they use it to their advantage. They put those young people against one another while they are fighting. They're stealing our resources and enriching themselves and sending their children out of the country to go get common sense, that is education, and come back to rule their own children tomorrow. It is intentional. In my opinion, it's a systematic thing that it's a system that have been built to keep those people that are selling with the market today, so that their children can continue to sell with the market. And these people that are in government send their children out, get educated, and come back and put those other children again at one another while they're fighting. They continue the same cycle. So education is what we need to do. We need to educate ourselves.
Yeah. And and this whole mob justice mentality, Sapalucia, honestly, we have to do something about it. And when I say we have to do something about it, we have to start holding people accountable. Okay, whether it's happening in Liberia, whether it's happening in Senegal, whether it's happening in Morocco, this mob justice mentality, we have to do something about it. Look, we have to deter criminals. We have to stop people. There was a sad story I heard about this young lady whose purse was taken away from her last year. And in that purse, she had all her travel documents. And she had just left to gather her travel documents to come to the States. And all of that stuff was in the purse when it got stolen from her. Those kind of stories, when you see on Facebook, it breaks your heart, because this was somebody's shot. This was that opportunity. So going back to get some of those documents will be just a tough thing. And yes, so we should deter these things. But I'd rather that young man that we talk who was killed, who people were stoning to death, I'd rather we catch that man and we take him to the police station and turn him over to the police than for us to take the justice into our own hand. If you thought Austin was stealing, or he has been stealing from the community, or he's a thief, or he said something derogatory to this person, you are not. The last I checked, private security was not the police officer. He was not a law enforcement person in the country.
No.
Whatever that situation is, maybe if you have a 911 system in Ghana, you can call the police. Hey, Mr. Police, just want to report that there's a young man and a lady here. They're going head to head. They're fighting. And it looks very bad. And let the police come in. But the first thing you do is, let me teach this man a lesson. To me, it sounds like you have your own motivation and there's some sort of hatred there. And that is why you wanted, the first thing you did was to go and get a cutlass.
Yeah.
To come and start going after this person. There's no other way I can present it without sounding like I'm trying to add fuel to the fire. There's no way.
It was, in my opinion, it was intentional, and I'm not a legal person, but this is something that had already been there. We're just waiting for the opportunity. I think that's what was happening here. He already has something in his mind for this guy. He said, okay, I'm just waiting for the slightest mistake that he will make, and I will move on him. I think that's what happened here, And Mr. Sheriff, I know we talk about it most of the time. You see, I'm not trying to preach Christianity, and I'm not trying to preach religion. But when Ellen Johnson Sirleaf took the Bible from the public schools, that was some of the beginning of these things that were going on with. Because look, why it is true, you don't have to be a Christian to see the principles in the Bible that teaches love, caring for one another, respecting other people, respect government, respect this and respect that. When you start to take those little pieces that keep people together, hold people together, when you start to take them out of society, that way it end up being. People can sit there and blame the war all they want. To be real with you, it is not really the war that have taken us to where we are. It's because of what other people have used the war to implement. That's what they're doing. Because why take Bible out of school? What harm was Bible doing to anybody? What? I mean, somebody tell me what principle in the Bible was doing that was harming or destroying society. What taking civics from the school? What harm was civics causing in the schools to the Liberian people that you were taking? So when you start to take those things that matter to people, that can keep people together, you start to take it out of school, that's what it does to society. It destroys the society. And because they were taking these things out, knowing that they don't have long to live, and they want to destroy the future so that their children can continue to control the future, that's why they do these things. And I'm going to be controversial, but I will stand by those things because I feel that it's always a system that people are building or putting in place to just keep a certain group of people down. Because their children are not there. Their grandchildren are not there.
I agree. No, I mean, I'm in line with you, Sapalucia. But the one thing I want to also try to end on here as we come to the end of the broadcast is the simple fact that, it was the great Martin Luther King Jr. who said, an injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere, right?
Yes.
And so when these things happen, we have to be able to speak the truth objectively without inflaming the situation. One African kill. Look, I will say this. I was in Liberia. I think we were still in high school. When I believe the last name was Dauda or Keita. He was a Guinean foreign exchange student he was here in the US. We're in Liberia. And I heard the story of this guy who got shot 16 times. I think 16 or 40 something times in New York.
Oh, you mean Amanjalo?
Yes, I think that was the name.
Yeah, I was in Liberia at the time, Jalo. I followed that story.
We were in Liberia. When I followed the story, man, I was enraged. I was among a small group of people. At the time, we didn't have social media. We didn't have cell phone. But some of us have been involved with the social justice thing a long time before even this thing became named to us. I was among a small group of people that we went to the U.S. Embassy and we had a little sign and said, justice for Diallo. Justice. Yes. And basically, what became of it? Nothing. From our perspective, nothing became of it. But basically, though, and that incident, Sapalucia, I'm telling you today, that incident scared me about coming to the U.S. That is why my parents, they came in the 90s, and I was still in Liberia. I said, I want to stay here, do my school, start LU, and do everything there. Because that situation, I just look at this, I look at America really bad, that this country was bad. And I'm just speaking to the injustice that took place at that time to that foreign student, that Guinean foreign student. And so we are all human. He was a Guinean. I was a Liberian. But it hurt me.
It resonated with us.
It resonated with us because it could have been me. It could have been you. And so I'm saying my thing here in my closing. That Austin brother who got killed in Ghana, that brother, we may not have all of the stories today. We may not know all of the facts of the story. But from what we do know that there was not consideration given him. It was an injustice to him and to his family, the way in which they did it. And the people that joined that mob justice to bring about, even if even it was a husband, which we know it was not the case, but even it was a husband that caught Austin and his wife in a room. And he said, I was mad. I need to kill this guy for staying on top of my woman. The group that joined in, they have no heart. We should be very clear on that. They have no heart. Because that young man, if that situation was that same situation in Ghana, in Liberia, I promise you're not going to see a Liberian running and say, let's join to kill this Ghanaian person. No. And so that was the injustice part, of it. And now all his family can hope for is that there's going to be some sense of justice, even if they prosecute the offenders and they put them in jail. Austin is gone at age of 26.
Very young.
Age of 26. All of the things that he could have done for his family, his future children, whatever, all has perished simply because of mob justice and because of this idea of he's now one of us. And that is why I like your point of saying Africa first. When I introduce myself, most of the time, Sapolysia, I would, because people hear my accent, they will say, "Where are you from?" And I say, "I'm from Africa." And then when they start to grill me, "What part of Africa?" "Oh, I'm from West Africa." The more you dig it, after you know your geography, then I'll tell you I'm from Liberia. But Africa first. Africa first. And that is the thing. We should go away from this mob justice mentality or follow borderline to say Ugandan, I'm this, I'm this. That is why our constitution, I love the Liberian constitution in that regard. It said every Negro, every black person is open to you.
Yep.
We're not closing our borders. We're not saying don't come. There are more Ghanaians making business and prospering in Liberia than some of our Liberian brothers and sisters. There are more Nigerians prospering and have good jobs. I mean, I know there was one in the news during George Weah time where they say he's a Nigerian, take the position, but they were living good life.
He was the election commissioner. Yeah.
Yes. And so Sapoli said that really hurt me when I heard about Austin's death. And just to, I mean, at his young age, that really hurt me. That is a promise that we lost forever. That's my closing. So you go ahead.
Yeah, so I just want to touch on Rivers' pro statement here. You know, Rivers says pro. You and I, and I'm sure you may be around the same age group. We all grew up in Liberia. This so-called bystander syndrome, no, it's not bystander syndrome. What I will allude to is get famous syndrome. Because everybody think the more they share videos, that the better, the more famous they will become. Because if you tell me they were irresponsive or shocked, then what is the first thought to bring your cell phone out to take videos? When your first thought should be to prevent it. And that's what have happened. It's everywhere now. Instead of people stopping crime, they facilitate crime, in my opinion, by videotaping and going live. That's what it's becoming now. It's not. So your friend who is giving you that, whatever he's giving you, they're just trying to go in line with the pharmaceutical companies who tell you everything is some kind of syndrome and that other syndrome and that syndrome. It's the famous syndrome, the share syndrome, the whatever you want to call follower syndrome. I think that's what it is now. Because everybody wants followers, and the more followers they get, the better they become, the faster it is for them to become famous. That's all it's about. But I know when we were growing up, unless they are just two young picking who want, we say beat them, fight because of somebody calls their mind and do that one. But once they do it, we see if somebody bringing rock. I don't remember watching somebody bringing rock to a stick to bring somebody. I don't know, fight. No, you want fight, you throw hand. If you can't make it, you move. And as soon as we see it getting blooded, we move people. That's how it have been. So people cannot use this violence that they are creating to be bystander syndrome. It's not a bystander syndrome. So with that note, man, my brother, let us get away from that stuff. It's because people are facilitating this to get themselves famous. But Liberians, look, we want to say thank you for joining us today. You guys have been wonderful, and I hope we can address these situations, these so-called mob justice, not so-called, but these mob justices are going on around Africa, and let us address it by educating ourselves first about what it is. The anger you are feeling is not against your brothers and sisters that are walking in the street. You are channeling your anger against the wrong person. The people that are taking the food from your mouth, it's not the guy that hustling like you, the guy who walking light pole. We used to call it counting light poles. It's not the men that are counting the light poles. The people you should be angry at are the people that are taking resources from your country and giving it to other people. Right? Those are the people you should vote out of office, but not going and attacking your brothers because he stole your phone. Call the police. And if you're frustrated, go to your lawmaker, and then your lawmaker call the police department and hold them accountable for those things. That is the right channel. With that, I want to say, look, thank you so much for your time. We wish you a blessed week, and I hope mob justice should stop and let us start educating and loving ourselves. The imaginary boundaries, let us get rid of it. Instead of waiting for 2063, why not we start thinking about having one currency in Africa now. Africa free trade should not be in 2063. Some of all will be gray-headed. Let us start now. That's 40 some more years from now. Let us start now. And then we can say Africa is ready for development. Everybody's moving fast. 2063 is too long. Let it be 2030. Then I know you're doing something. With that, we want to say thank you and have a wonderful, blessed week.